The fluorescent
That'll be all,
lights of
thanks.
Save Mart
Look at the pretty
hummed
lights,
overhead
sweetie.
as Rebecca
Great,
Walsh
card when you're
stood
ready.
at the customer service counter. Her 6-month-old daughter, Lily, nestled against her shoulder. In her trembling hand, she held an unopened can of premium baby formula. The receipt crumpled beside it. Her eyes were red-rimmed, and she kept her gaze fixed on the counter, unable to meet the cashier's curious stare. "I need to return this," Rebecca said quietly, her voice barely audible over the store's background music. The cashier, a teenager with bored eyes, took the can and scanned it. "Any reason for the return?" Rebecca's cheeks flushed. It's fine. I just don't need it anymore." It was a lie, of course. She desperately needed it. Lily needed it. But the $17.99 this formula would give her back meant she could buy the cheaper store brand and still have enough left over for the electric bill that was already 2 weeks overdue. Being a single mother at 28 wasn't supposed to be this hard. But then again, nothing about the past year had gone according to plan. Her ex-husband Derek had left when she was 7 months pregnant, deciding that impending fatherhood wasn't the lifestyle he wanted. The divorce had been quick and bitter, leaving Rebecca with nothing but debt and a baby on the way. She tried to keep working as a dental hygienist, but childcare costs ate up most of her paycheck, and her landlord had just raised the rent on her tiny one-bedroom apartment. Standing a few feet behind Rebecca in line was Nathan Pierce, though she didn't know his name yet. At 43, Nathan was the chief financial officer of Morrison Industries, one of the largest manufacturing companies in the state. His tailored navy coat and expensive leather shoes marked him as someone who belonged in boardrooms, not discount grocery stores at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday evening. He'd stopped in to grab coffee on his way home from another late night at the office. His daughter Sophie, who'd just turned 5, was with him, a rare occurrence since his divorce 2 years ago. Usually his ex-wife Amanda had custody during the week, but she'd had a work emergency, and Nathan had picked Sophie up from her dance class. Sophie tugged on his hand, pointing to the colorful display of toys near the register, but Nathan's attention was fixed on the young woman ahead of them. He'd noticed her the moment they'd entered the checkout area, not because of her appearance, though she had kind features beneath the worry lines, but because of the way she held her baby. There was such tenderness there, such love, even as her hands shook slightly. When Rebecca spoke about returning the formula, Nathan saw her shoulders tense, saw the way she blinked rapidly to hold back tears, and when the cashier processed the return and handed her the cash, Nathan watched as Rebecca carefully counted the bills, her lips moving silently as she calculated what she could now afford. She moved away from the counter, shifting Lily to her other arm as she headed back into the store toward the baby food aisle. Nathan completed his purchase quickly, an idea forming in his mind. Sophie looked up at him curiously as he steered them toward the baby section instead of the exit. "Daddy, where are we going?" "I thought we were getting coffee." "We are, sweetheart. I just need to do something first." They found Rebecca standing in front of the formula display, her expression one of quiet desperation. The premium brand she'd just returned sat on the top shelf, expensive and out of reach. Below it, the store brand was significantly cheaper but still represented a substantial chunk of her limited resources. Nathan approached carefully, not wanting to startle her. "Excuse me," he said gently. Rebecca turned, surprised to find a well-dressed man and a small girl standing beside her. "Yes?" Nathan had practiced this moment during the 30-second walk from the register, trying to find words that would help without humiliating her. He'd been on the receiving end of pity before, during the painful aftermath of his divorce when colleagues had whispered about his personal failures, and he knew how it felt to be seen as broken. "I couldn't help but notice you returning formula at the register," he began, watching her face carefully. "And I know this is going to sound strange, but I wonder if you'd let me buy it for you. The premium brand, not the store brand." Rebecca's first instinct was to refuse. Pride was sometimes all she had left, and accepting charity from a stranger felt like giving up the last piece of her dignity. "That's very kind, but I couldn't possibly—" "Please," Nathan interrupted gently. "Let me explain. My name is Nathan Pierce, and this is my daughter Sophie. 2 years ago, I went through a divorce that left me feeling like I'd failed at everything that mattered. I threw myself into work, climbing the corporate ladder, making more money than I knew what to do with. But you know what I learned? Money doesn't fix loneliness. Success doesn't heal a broken heart. What helps is connection, kindness, and the knowledge that we're not alone in our struggles. He paused, choosing his next words carefully. I can see you're a good mother. The way you hold your daughter, the care in your eyes, that's what matters. And if buying formula helps you, focus on being the mother you already are instead of worrying about which bills to pay, then please, let me do this small thing. Not as charity, but as one struggling parent to another. Rebecca felt tears spill down her cheeks. This stranger had somehow seen past her defenses to the fear and exhaustion underneath. I don't understand why you do this for someone you don't even know. Because someone should have done it for me when I was struggling, Nathan said simply. Because kindness doesn't require a reason. And because that beautiful baby in your arms deserves to have her mother worry less and smile more. Sophie, who'd been listening quietly, suddenly spoke up. Daddy, can we help with other stuff too? Like diapers? Babies need lots of diapers. Nathan smiled at his daughter, his heart swelling with pride at her compassion. You know what, Sophie? That's an excellent idea. Before Rebecca could protest further, Nathan had grabbed a shopping cart. What else do you need? And please be honest. I can tell from the way you counted that money that you're choosing between necessities, and no one should have to do that. Rebecca stood frozen for a moment, overwhelmed by this unexpected kindness. Then Lily began to fuss, and something inside Rebecca cracked open. She was so tired of being strong, so exhausted from carrying everything alone. Diapers, she whispered, and maybe some of those jarred baby foods. She's just starting solids. And I've been trying to make everything from scratch, but I work long hours and... Her voice broke. Say no more, Nathan said firmly. Let's get everything you need. For the next 20 minutes, they moved through the store together. Sophie helped pick out baby food flavors, holding up jars and asking Rebecca which ones Lily might like. Nathan loaded the cart with diapers, wipes, formula, and other essentials, waving away Rebecca's protests each time she tried to convince him it was too much. At the register, as Nathan paid for everything, Rebecca found her voice again. I don't know how to thank you. This is more than I could have hoped for. You don't need to thank me, Nathan replied. But I do have one request. Rebecca tensed slightly, waiting for the other shoe to drop, for the kindness to come with strings attached. Nathan seemed to sense her concern and smiled reassuringly. Nothing bad, I promise. I'd just like to give you my card. My personal cell number is on it. If you ever need help, not just with baby supplies, but with anything, I hope you'll call. No judgment, no expectations. Just someone who understands that life can be overwhelming and we all need support. Sometimes. He pulled a business card from his wallet and wrote his personal number on the back. I mean it, Rebecca. And if you're ever looking for work opportunities, my company has a great benefits package and we're always looking for good people. Rebecca took the card, reading the embossed letters. Nathan Pierce, Chief Financial Officer, Morrison Industries. You're a CFO and you're shopping at Save Mart? Nathan laughed. Money doesn't change the fact that I still need coffee and groceries. And honestly, after spending all day in meetings with executives who've forgotten what it's like to struggle, it's grounding to be in the real world where real people face real challenges. As they walked to the parking lot together, Sophie holding Rebecca's hand while Nathan pushed the cart loaded with supplies, Rebecca felt something she hadn't experienced in months. Hope. Not just because of the material help, though that was desperately needed, but because this stranger had seen her, really seen her, and chosen kindness. Can I ask you something? Rebecca said as they reached her old sedan. Why did you really do this? There's more to it than what you said in the store, isn't there? Nathan was quiet for a moment, helping load the bags into her trunk while Sophie entertained Lily with silly faces. When my marriage ended, he finally said, I was so focused on looking successful, on proving I was fine, that I forgot to actually be fine. I threw money at problems instead of dealing with emotions. I worked 80-hour weeks instead of spending time with Sophie. And then one night, about 6 months ago, my daughter asked me why I didn't smile anymore. He paused, his voice thick with emotion. It broke something open in me. I realized that I'd been so busy trying to look like I had it all together that I'd forgotten what actually mattered. So I made changes. I cut back my hours. I started therapy. I learned to ask for help instead of pretending I didn't need it. Nathan looked directly at Rebecca. When I saw you returning that formula, counting those bills, trying so hard to make everything work on your own, I saw myself. And I thought, what if someone had extended me kindness instead of judgment during my hardest times? How different might things have been? Rebecca understood then. This wasn't about him rescuing her. This was about two people who'd been broken in different ways, finding a moment of human connection. Thank you, she said softly. Not just for the formula and everything else, but for seeing me as a person, not just a problem to be solved. Over the following weeks, Rebecca and Nathan developed an unexpected friendship. It started with a text from Rebecca, thanking him again and sharing a photo of a smiling Lily enjoying her first taste of sweet potato baby food. Nathan responded with a picture of Sophie covered in spaghetti sauce, captioned, "Dinner with a 5-year-old is always an adventure." Their conversations grew from there, sharing parenting struggles and victories, swapping stories about their days, offering each other the kind of understanding that only fellow single parents could provide. Nathan learned about Rebecca's dreams of going back to school to become a dental hygienist instructor. Rebecca discovered that Nathan played guitar badly, but enthusiastically, much to Sophie's amusement. 3 months after their grocery store meeting, Nathan called Rebecca with a proposition. Morrison Industries is looking for someone to manage our employee wellness program. It would involve coordinating health benefits, organizing health screenings, working with our dental and vision providers, that kind of thing. I immediately thought of you. The pay is significantly better than dental hygiene, and the hours are standard 9 to 5 with excellent benefits and on-site childcare. Rebecca was stunned. Nathan, I don't have experience in corporate wellness program management, but you have experience in healthcare. You understand benefits from a user perspective, and you're one of the most organized, dedicated people I've met. We can train you on the specifics. What we can't train is integrity and compassion, and you have both in abundance. The job offer changed Rebecca's life in practical ways. Financial stability, reliable childcare for Lily, health insurance, a pathway to a real career. But what it really represented was something deeper. Someone believing in her when she'd almost stopped believing in herself. As Rebecca settled into her new role at Morrison Industries, she and Nathan continued to grow closer. Their friendship deepened into something more. Though both were cautious, having been hurt before, they took things slowly, putting their daughters first. Building trust brick by brick, Sophie and Lily became inseparable despite their age difference. Sophie appointed herself Lily's big sister, teaching her games and sharing her toys with the same generosity her father had shown. Rebecca that night at the store. 6 months into Rebecca's new job, Nathan invited her and Lily to Sophie's 6th birthday party. It was a small gathering in his backyard, just a few of Sophie's friends, from school and their parents, as Rebecca helped set up decorations while Lily napped in a portable crib. Nathan had borrowed. He pulled her aside. "I have something to tell you," he said, his expression serious. "When I saw you that night at the store, something shifted in me. I'd been operating on autopilot for so long, going through the motions of life without really living it. But watching you count those bills, seeing how much you loved Lily despite how hard everything was, it reminded me what courage actually looks like." He took her hands in his. "You weren't just struggling that night, Rebecca. You were fighting for your daughter, for your dignity, for a better future. And I fell a little bit in love with that strength even before I knew your name." Rebecca felt her heart racing. "Nathan, I know we've both been hurt. I know we're both scared of making another mistake. But I also know that what we have, this friendship, this understanding, this connection, it's rare. And I don't want to let fear keep me from something real." "I'm scared," Rebecca admitted. "What if it doesn't work? What if we mess up what we have? What if it does work?" Nathan countered gently. "What if this, you, me, Sophie, Lily, what if this is what we've been moving toward all along? What if that night at the grocery store wasn't random chance, but the universe giving us both a second chance at happiness?" Rebecca thought about that night 6 months ago. How close she'd come to complete despair. How a stranger's kindness had pulled her back from the edge. She thought about the friendship that had grown between them. The laughter they'd shared, the way Nathan looked at her like she was extraordinary even when she felt utterly ordinary. "Okay," she whispered. "Let's be brave together. Their relationship unfolded with care and intention. They introduced the idea of dating slowly to Sophie and Lily, making sure both girls felt secure and included. Family dinners became regular occurrences, blending their households gradually. They attended Sophie's dance recitals and Lily's first birthday party together, building memories as a unit. A year after their first meeting, Nathan proposed during a quiet moment at that same Save Mart. He'd orchestrated it carefully, bringing Rebecca back to the baby food aisle where their conversation had begun. "I fell in love with you right here," he said, getting down on one knee while Sophie held a giggling Lily. "In this ordinary place, during an ordinary moment, you showed me what extraordinary actually means. You showed me that strength isn't about having all the answers. It's about showing up even when you're scared. You showed me that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the courage to be seen." He pulled out a ring. "Rebecca Walsh, would you marry me? Would you let me spend the rest of my life being brave with you?" Through happy tears, Rebecca said yes. Their wedding was simple but meaningful. Held in the community center where Rebecca had once attended a support group for single mothers. Sophie served as flower girl while Lily, now a toddler, toddled down the aisle, scattering petals with more enthusiasm than accuracy. During the ceremony, they exchanged traditional vows, but Nathan also made an additional promise. "I vow to always see you, not just look at you, to recognize your strength even on days when you feel weak, to be the person who helps carry the load, not because you can't carry it yourself, but because you shouldn't have to carry it alone." Rebecca's voice trembled as she made her own promise. "I vow to never forget where we started, in a moment of need that became a moment of grace, to remember that love isn't about grand gestures, but about showing up in ordinary moments with extraordinary kindness. To build with you a life where our daughters know that families can be found, not just born, and that second chances are real." Years later, when people asked how they met, Nathan and Rebecca would smile and say, "In the baby food aisle at Save Mart." They'd tell the story of a lonely CFO, a struggling single mother, and a can of formula that changed everything. But what they didn't always say, what they kept close to their hearts, was that the real miracle wasn't the material help or even the love that grew from it. The real miracle was that in their darkest moments, they'd both chosen to stay open to connection. Rebecca could have refused help, letting pride keep her isolated. Nathan could have walked past, telling himself it wasn't his problem. Instead, they'd been brave enough to see each other, to help and be helped, to build something beautiful from the broken pieces of their separate pasts. And every year on the anniversary of that first meeting, they'd return to Save Mart, now with 2 daughters, and eventually a son, and buy formula to donate to the local food bank, along with diapers, baby food, and all the essentials new parents need. They'd attach notes that read, "For parents who are struggling, you are seen. You are not alone. This is from someone who's been there. Keep going. Better days are coming." Because they'd learned that kindness doesn't end with one gesture. It ripples outward, touching lives in ways we can never fully measure, creating chains of hope that connect us all in our shared humanity. And sometimes, if we're very lucky, that kindness comes back to us transformed into love, family, and the peaceful knowledge that we've found our way home.